What's up? It's your host, Torry, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to another episode of RTBP. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have a really fun episode with Liv and Bix, but we have a few things to cover before we get to that. First of all, this episode is a day late. I got my booster on Friday, and I've been honestly just like holed up on my couch for 3 days. Still worth it, obvi, but I just could not bear to edit this episode. Even though I do this to myself every single time, I'm like, I really can't do this. And then I start editing it and it's funny. So then I'm like LOLing along. Anyways, when this episode comes out, I'm going to post a temperature check / quiz / check-in with the RTBP community on my Instagram stories just to see what you all thought about the content of the episode, like where you stand, what your opinions are on the stories, if you know we're on the same page or if we're a little controversial. So go check that out. I also got like the cutest review on Apple Podcasts that said I had a cute accent, and I am just going to be riding that high for many, many days because I'm one of those annoying people that like, it's like, I didn't think I had an accent and like stuff like that. So I just feel like people always say like, oh, cute accent to people that are like from France or Italy or Australia or England or whatever. It's like not from, I was going to say buttfuck nowhere. Oh my God. Not from where I'm from. Let's just say that. But with that being said, if you want to leave me a review, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, and you can also leave a rating on Spotify. That's new. So I love reading what you all are thinking about the podcast. One more little housekeeping detail. I was on the Rom Complex talking about, honestly, one of my like top 50 movies, Bring It On, All or Nothing. It's the Solange and Hayden Panettiere movie, and it's so good. I tell my promposal story from high school, which I think I've mentioned on this podcast, but I don't think I've gotten into like excruciating detail like I do on this episode of the podcast. So go check it out wherever you find podcasts. It was just non-stop laughter. One more thing before we get to today's episode. Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas had a baby via surrogate. I think a little girl. Some people are saying, oh, the Jonas sisters, now that they all have little girls. But I was so floored just because, we've talked, I think on this podcast, we had our big Niley episode. We've talked about Priyanka and Nick possibly being a fake PR relationship. And I'm not saying that them having a baby determines that they aren't a PR relationship, because I am that far down the rabbit hole. But my little Niley stan heart broke this weekend. I don't know what it is. Like for me, now I have 3. Before I just had 1 or 2, Justin and Selena, and Niley, Nick and Miley. But now I have 3 couples that I would literally give like my left arm to get back together. Is that weird? Do other people have those couples that they would just like literally give their entire life? They would lay down their lives for these couples to get back together. My 3rd one as of late is Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. So anyways, it was both very exciting, surprising, and a little bit saddening to find out about the birth of their daughter. They were like, we want everything to be private, yet they like put out a public statement when like literally I don't think anyone had any idea. So that was also kind of funny. But I want to know what you think about the birth of this new child. Anyways, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Since I recorded, there have been some updates on the stories we talk about. So I will meet you on the other side, and I will update you on some of the things I've learned throughout this week. Without further ado, here is my episode with Liv and Bix. I'm back with 2 very special guests, Liv and Bix from In the Moment with Liv and Bix. How are you 2 doing?
Hello. Thank you so much for having us. This is so exciting.
Thanks for coming on. I'm so excited. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, definitely. We are a Bachelor Nation recap podcast, but actually this season we are not recapping the current Bachelor season. We're covering Bachelor Nation news, anything going on with any Bachelor Nation alums, and we kind of just talk about life, relationships, dating, anything that we have on our minds that like kind of relates to The Bachelor that we could get away with.
I love it. And I wanted to talk about some Bachelor Nation news because I am following the new season like against my will because I haven't watched a season in a very long time, but I'm going to be on a Bachelor recap podcast and they asked me to watch the first 3 episodes. So
Nice.
I'm going to watch it, but I wanted to chat about some things that are happening right now that have caught my eye. First off, Riley and Maurissa, king and queen of Bachelor in Paradise. Do you think it's true that they broke up?
I do think there is some truth to it, but again, that's like we're just making like speculations at this point because I don't think anything's been confirmed. But definitely, I feel like the tea, like I feel like there has been like a little bit of shade, maybe in like Marissa's stories towards Riley, and then also the cleansing of the Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So just like taking little social media hints, I think that we can confirm. But I don't.
Yeah.
They haven't come out like formally with like an explanation of anything that might have happened.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that whether it's like a full-on breakup or just like a break or like a separation for a time, something's definitely going on because the both of them like posting their like motivational quotes
Yes.
and
Yeah.
like all of this like
Classic.
very like empowering
Yeah.
stuff. So, and also like I know she moved to because he lives in Long Island City in Queens, New York, and I know that she moved in with him and she's from like Montana. I'm probably not Montana, but like something like one of those states. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, is she like staying in a hotel? Is she staying with a friend? Does she go back
Oh yeah.
home?
Those logistics, I don't know, but also she like would like things like I know like moving in with a partner is like a quick way to get like to lead to a like a
Oh
breakup. Like I'm
shit.
pretty sure, I don't know if that was
She's
Zach
not wrong.
reality that like spilled that, but there definitely was things that she's liked on social media that also kind of confirms like that they might not
Wow.
be together.
That's so brutal. Yeah, I definitely feel like the soft launch of a breakup is like cleanse the timeline,
Yes.
post
Yes.
some like Khloe Kardashian like Instagram story quotes, which is so cringe. It reminds me of like high school.
Yes.
And then
Seriously.
Yes.
and then liking some like guilty
Yeah, like some like
tweets.
shady stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I
So
wish I was a
bad.
sleuth enough to like go into like the pictures and like you know how people they'll like line pictures up next to each
Yes.
other and be like she's in front of
Like the
this door so that means
timeline.
she is in the apartment
Yeah.
and she yeah
Yes.
so but I don't know, I didn't go that deep.
No, I never do. I just love to see all of that stuff that people post. Like whoever does that work
Live for
again,
it.
doing the Lord's work, seriously.
Yes.
There was also a huge news story about Tayshia leaving Clickbait. And she was absent from some of the Bachelorette after show pieces. Do you think that she's kind of had like a falling out with the producers?
I think, to be honest, like my personal opinion would be that maybe she just stepped back because of everything with like Zach. But that's just, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, because I know that's like a lot. Like she's pretty much the face, I feel like, right now of like Bachelor Nation. She's like doing the hosting. Yeah, so I think just because she took on such a large role already and then the breakup with Zach, I just feel like maybe it was a lot for her because then also on top of that doing the
Yeah.
podcast, hosting, yada yada. I just think, to be honest, she may have just stepped back for like her own mental health. I'm just creating this story. No idea, but that's what I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's seemingly like very overwhelming doing like hosting, doing the podcast, like flying here, flying there, doing all these
Right.
events. And I also feel like maybe a part of it is wanting to kind of in a similar way that Rachel Lindsay like excused herself from Bachelor Nation.
Mm,
I feel like maybe Tayshia's on that same
yeah.
path because when her and Zach, when that split, was announced, the amount of hate that she got for just being like a woman with a career was so crazy.
Bix,
that
you're just so right. Like, because I noticed
Yeah.
that the main like insults was that she had a career instead of focusing on Zach. Meanwhile, these people don't even, they sound so crazy because you don't know these people. They're like, yeah,
No.
Tayshia just needed the spotlight, and she, you know, Zach's the type of man who likes to, and I'm just like, you guys sound,
he deserves a real
I'm like,
woman
you guys
who's
sound
gonna
insane.
be there for him.
Like, they created this whole narrative, like, insanity.
That's so unfair because Zach had just as much going on as Tayshia.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they never came for his career, ever. But they came for the fact that she wanted one. Like, she was wrong for having, like, ambitions.
Yeah, she wasn't around enough to support
Yeah.
him and be there for him. And like,
Oh, that's awful.
Y'all are crazy.
I feel like that's classic Bachelor Nation though. Like that really is like I'm sure that their busy schedules, like both of their busy schedules might have put a strain on the relationship. Like that's tough to be, you know, away from each other and super busy, but they both had tons of things going on. That's so unfair to put that all on Tayshia. I'm sad for her because I think like you're right, like this, she was like kind of the jewel of Bachelor Nation over these last couple years, and being on like their own podcast and all of the hosting gigs and stuff is just so great. But I also could see her, I don't know, I feel like Bachelor producers could have been up to some antics that weren't fair for her. And yeah, I just hope that she is taking good care of herself, and I know the bounce back will be amazing.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe she's like working on a solo project. Maybe she's gonna come out with like her own podcast.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Separate from Bachelor Nation, you know, because I feel like at this point, like being tied to Bachelor Nation is almost like a really negative thing. Like Clickbait now is a mess. Like freaking Grocery Store Joe and Tia. Like,
I know, it's like bottom of the barrel.
I feel for Natasha.
Clickbait has been through a lot of transformations, I feel like.
Yeah. I know. Remember when Hannah Ann was on it? Like,
I think she did like 2 episodes and then she was like, no, I'm a baker now.
Yes. Yeah, that was so cringe. That's so fair. Yeah, I feel like Tayshia's star power like does go beyond Bachelor Nations.
For sure.
Be interesting to see if she's just like launching her own stuff. That would be amazing. Because I do think she has it, like not the bandwidth,
like star quality.
Yeah, like she has that something that people are looking for that I feel like she could. Yeah, that je ne sais quoi. Exactly. She totally does. One of my other faves in Bachelor Nation, Tyler Cameron. I feel like controversial fave. I feel like he is like,
I love him.
I'm obsessed with him. Like,
I got so excited. Too excited.
Yeah, like it's absurd at this point. But like I feel like he kind of like, I don't know. I feel like he hasn't had just like this straight trajectory. I feel like he's kind of had some like, I don't know, when his book came out, there was like not a controversy.
I'm like, wait, rewind. What?
Yeah. When did his butt come out?
Oh my god.
Also, why is that a problem?
He had a book come out this summer, and like people.
Oh, a book.
Oh, we thought you were saying butt, like your rear end. So I was like, this butt fall out his pants, and everybody saw it, and it was a problem. Because I wouldn't be upset.
Oh my god, that's so funny. No, like
Bix and I both heard the same thing. They were like, "What?" Like
that would not be controversial. Oh my god, that's so funny. No, his book about like dating came out. That's so funny.
I also don't really remember this book now.
It came out in the summer. It was about like dating and being like a gentleman and like I think it was controversial because it was just like him. I don't know. People were like, why do we get dating advice from you who you're like single, really young and just like,
single young white man sleeping with all the models of New York City.
Yeah.
Like, please give me dating advice, bro. Like,
exactly. But he has a new dance show coming up where he's like a contestant, and he's been speculated to be on the upcoming season of Celebrity Big Brother. So I'm just, he's like booked and busy. I'm just
nice.
Yeah, I don't think I'll watch the dance show because I fucking hate dance shows, but like they almost had me with Tyler Cameron, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard that he was filming for like a new Dirty Dancing. I don't know if he was playing like the lead or just like in it, but I know that there was a point that he was doing that.
I don't care like who it is. Like it has nothing to do with Tyler Cameron. Just leave the movie alone. It is great, that movie.
Yeah,
like,
that's a
like,
tough one to like
remake.
remake.
Yeah, we don't need a remake. I don't care who it's with. Like, and mind you, I have nothing against this man. I'm just like, but we just don't need it.
Yeah, that's so true. Dirty Dancing, like Havana Nights was like bad enough. We don't. Do you remember that movie with Diego Luna? No. Okay,
I've never seen it.
I'm aging myself. Okay, we'll like definitely watch it this weekend. It's like one of those so bad it's good movies.
Okay, that's my kind of movie.
Yes. And the next story that is like 2 baby news stories. I love Bachelor Nation baby news. Ashley and Jared had a son, Dawson Demetrius Hyban. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
I think it's Haben.
Haben. Okay, love that. What do you think about the baby name?
What, his first name is Dawson?
Yes.
Dawson Demetrius?
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. I was like,
It's very powerful. That's like a freaking name.
Oh my God.
Like, is he a philosopher? Or
Yes. Like, it does give me like philosopher vibes for
noble,
sure.
royal.
Yeah. Which is like, I feel like classic them. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
just like trying to like have it be really ostentatious.
Oh my God. And the fact that they announced their baby's name on Amazon Live.
Oh, that's great.
Like,
They did?
They monetize everything in their life.
Wow.
Everything.
Get
like,
that money.
Seriously, I can't take them.
wow.
It's like just comical at this point.
That's so funny. It is. They're like so successful. Like people still like love them. Get tired of the constant like marketing stuff, but people still like super love them. I actually do really like the name Dawson. I think that's cute, but Demetrius doesn't land for me. Sorry to all the Demetriuses out there. Yeah. It just doesn't seem to fit with his first and last name, but congrats Ashley and Jared.
Dawson would be cute for a girl too.
Yes. And I just feel like Dawson, like, it just really reminds me of Dawson's Creek. Like, like, you just can't get away from that TV show, I feel. Okay, I wrote down Raven and Adam had a son. I wrote down Gates Zev Gottschalk. Is that right? Because I just realized like Raven's last name is Gates.
And then his last name is
Gotcha. Okay, I'm going to look it up. But I think that might be it.
They named the baby Gates?
Yes, it is. It is Gates Zev Gottschalk. So she named,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, her previous, like her maiden name was Gates. And that's what they named the baby. I kind of like that.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I think that's a fun idea. Gates is a cool first name.
Yeah.
Zev is a cool middle name.
Yeah.
He's never going to run into somebody like with the same name as him in his life.
Truly. Yeah, they posted like an adorable picture where mom and baby were in like matching gray outfits.
That's cute.
And it seemed like I think she had to have like an emergency C-section, or it was like kind of like a tough delivery. So all the best to Raven and Adam. I've really warmed up to them as time has gone on.
Anything about labor terrifies me to the extreme. So yes, like freaking God bless to anybody giving birth.
Yes. Okay, we're going to jump into some pop culture news. MGK and Megan Fox got engaged. I feel like everyone could see this from a mile away, but I was like still surprised.
I always like kept checking to see if they were still together, because you know, like celebrity couples, even the ones that you're like, oh, they're gonna be forever, and then they break up, and for a period of time I thought they did, and I was sad about it because I feel like they're both like the same vibe and the same aesthetic, and I really like their aesthetic together. So I'm like, I really like rooting for them. And I think they're both, I say weird because it's out of my comfort zone, but I think they're the same type of weird, but that's not even in a negative way. Like they're just, it's just different for me, but I think they're both on this totally like same groovy wavelength.
I completely agree. Like, out of the, like, Pete and Kim, MGK, Megan Fox, and Travis and Courtney, like, they seem to, like, be the most legitimate.
Yeah, I agree. I really like them together.
Yeah, it seems as though, like, I mean, this is just me talking shit. I don't know these people. But it seems like Courtney and Kim are, like, you know, it's trendy. It's trendy to date a, like, rocker dude right now, and like Kim and Courtney are just like doing the trendy thing, and Megan Fox actually, like, add to what Liv was saying, like Megan Fox is actually wild.
Yes,
so like it's very on brand for her,
Right.
and it's not just like her following a trend. So yeah, I definitely see them being a lot more authentic.
I feel like with, and again, this is me just being this like outsider, like but I do feel like even with Megan Fox, I feel like she wasn't, or at least she never showed this, like, I don't know, this other side that we're seeing now to her in like Hollywood. And then I feel like mostly because of what she's been cast in. And then on top of that, like she was married at one point. And then I feel like in that marriage, she was, I think, even just based on her social media, a little bit more like reserved.
Yeah.
And then I noticed it wasn't until after that marriage, and now with Machine Gun Kelly, she let this like you said, like this punk rock side of her that I guess she's always had come out a little bit more. But I do feel like in that marriage, she definitely was a little bit more.
She was like diluting herself.
A little bit more reserved.
And now like
she seemed, maybe she kind of went that like domestic traditional route with Brian Austin Green, and then they ended up divorcing, and now it seems like she's like flourishing. So
yeah.
So they got engaged under a banyan tree in Puerto Rico. Apparently they drink each other's blood, which
I hope not.
Sometimes like
so crazy.
Like, that is crazy. Like, sometimes they say stuff in their like Instagram captions, and I'm like, are they just saying that?
Yeah.
Or did
like, are
they
trolling us?
Right.
Like,
yes. Like, sometimes I'm like, is that just like to be, I don't know, controversial or whatever?
yeah, like shock value.
Yes.
Because
I don't know.
Did you guys do that?
Because for a while they were wearing each other's blood in like a necklace, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like a little vial.
Yeah.
I'm like, are they playing that up? Or like you said, is this just for shock value? Or did they really think this was a great idea to drink each other's blood? Because then I think about all the diseases, and then I think about like how like just unsanitary that is, and I'm literally scratching myself because it really freaks me out. It freaks me out.
I know, it can't be good for you.
Wear it, but don't drink it.
Yeah. Even them wearing it, I was like, okay, like Angelina Jolie and
yes,
what was his name?
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes, Billy Bob Thornton did it better, but
yes, this is like Billy Bob Thornton, Angelina Jolie part 2.
Right.
Yes,
but like
hotter,
different.
Yeah, and it was all filmed. I haven't watched the full video. I've watched clips, but I just cannot physically watch engagement videos. They are so cringe to me.
I love them.
I love the
gentle soul.
Yeah, I just like can't, like, if anyone has ever sent me an engagement video, I'm so sorry, but like I lied if I said I watched it. Like,
it was so beautiful. I loved it. Immediately delete.
Yeah, I'm like super cute, like happy for y'all, and then it's just like I could just physically can't do it. But I think the biggest like news story really to come out of their engagement is the ring.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually like that doesn't happen, because I guess rings are usually pretty much not all the same, but like generally the same. But this ring is a diamond and an emerald, which are their birthstones, which I was thinking, I was like, thank God you both have good birthstones.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What about if it was like a garnet and like a peridot?
Wait, what was it again?
like Christmas
what
colors.
were the stones?
It was a diamond and emerald.
Diamond
so
and emerald. Who is the Aries?
I think hers is the diamond and he's the
Either
emerald.
of them could be.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're kind of heart shaped. Like both of them are like kind of teardrop that make a heart.
Mm-hmm.
And they're held together by a magnet because they have like a magnetic pull for each other.
People with money are freaking wild. They'll do anything. They're like, oh, put a magnet in it because we're magnetic.
Right. I have the money,
Give
so.
me a fucking ring, bro.
Okay, but it gets worse.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know how, but it does. The band is made out of thorns.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's obviously medal or like gold or silver,
Right.
whatever it is. But there's like, it's kind of spiked like thorns. And apparently every time she takes it off, it kind of hurts because like being a part or whatever is supposed to hurt.
Oh my God.
Which I feel like is just so them.
I think he said because love hurts, if I'm not mistaken. And that's like, and then people were saying, obviously, that's a very like toxic message because love is not supposed to hurt. But I think so. Don't quote me, but I think that's what Machine Gun Kelly said.
I read that he designed it that way so that it just hurt when she took it off, so she would never take it off.
Okay, but what about showering? Or like,
Yeah.
I guess it's like she's not the type of person who's doing dishes or anything like that.
True.
But I'm like, you probably want to take it off when you're showering or like swimming in like a lake or something. She's probably not swimming in lakes.
You just like wash your hands.
And also that's like, yeah. And again, that's unsanitary.
Yeah, you should get it cleaned once in a while.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem like a very unsanitary couple, I think.
This and the blood, it's just
a lot to take in at once.
So I think we already answered this question, but do you think that they're soulmates?
I think so. And I think you could have more than one. So I think they definitely are. I think so.
Like at this stage in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, their type of weird just seems to line up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really do think they're like good together.
Me too.
Do you think though that like there are now constantly in the news, like you cannot get away from it? Do you think that we've seen too much Megan Fox and MGK, or do you think like people are just still like loving it?
I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. There's worse things that I could be reading, and I'm like, it's entertaining. That's how I feel. I'm just like, it's not a big deal to me. I'm just like, oh, this is weird, but expected, but also entertaining. So keep it going.
Yeah, I guess that they will have to like again constantly one up their own press because it's like, where do you go
what are they
after?
Gonna do next?
Yeah, after
like
the
give
blood.
their firstborn up to Satan.
Oh no!
Or, like some crazy shit.
No.
Like a ritual.
Oh my God.
Honestly, I can see it.
Yeah, and people are saying actually like it's also going around the internet. People talking about that like Machine Gun Kelly is married to like a demon and that Megan Fox is actually a demon, and it's just something to do with like Hollywood and like that's why they're like drinking each other's yeah, exactly. Like if you go on like Facebook and like they have like the news articles that are out, and then underneath you can read all the comments and everyone's like, it's right in front of our face, Megan is actually a demon. And I was like I would actually love if Megan Fox was a demon.
What the fuck?
And that like the role of like Jennifer's Body, there's a reason why that's one of her favorite roles.
Like it actually is her.
It's very funny.
It's
very entertaining to read.
It's funny how that stuff is actually wilder than anything they do in their relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to do a Facebook deep dive because that seems right up my alley.
It was so entertaining. I was like,
the next thing we wanted to talk about, I don't even know where to begin with Jamie Lynn Spears and Britney Spears.
No.
Well, obviously, since it's been like a 13-year conservatorship, there's just 13 years worth of information that you like have to parse through. And there's been all the documentaries and all the news articles and all the legal statements and stuff. So it's just so much. But in case you didn't know, Jamie Lynn released a book. It's coming out January 25th. There's like lots of leaked copies online if you want to read it and not give her any money. It's called Things I Should Have Said. So it's like a memoir about, her Nickelodeon days, being pregnant at a young age, her relationship with Britney, all of that stuff. And she has been doing all of the press rounds like you would with a new book coming out. And she has just been getting so much bad press. Like, I don't think one person has said that this was like a good idea. What do you think about her coming out with a book at this point in time?
I personally feel enraged. Like talking about Jamie Lynn fills me with so much fury that like I've never experienced with like a person I even know in my personal life. I am very protective of Britney Spears. She's one of my favorite people on the planet. But I think it's just so messed up. Like she has put Britney through so much her entire life, these past 13 years, being a trustee on the conservatorship, never ever saying free Britney once, using the hashtag, doing anything to advocate for helping her sister. And in the height of the free Britney movement, Britney's finally out of it. You're going to release a book now. And in the book, one, you're exploiting her. And two, just spreading lies and like putting shit in the book that paints Britney in a really bad light, is lying about her, making her look like a bad sister, a bad mother, just a very unstable person. And the press tours, oh my gosh, like her tears and her like, I can't sympathize with her at all, because I just think I really genuinely think she's just a bad person.
Yes. So I agree with you that she's a bad person and that people call her online Judas Lynn, and I'm on board with that. I think that what she has done to her sister is literally unforgivable. Like, I don't think like you can just like go to therapy together or something and work this one out. Like, I think that this is like you probably need to cut each other off from your lives.
I mean, I do feel for her though, in the sense of like being a child star, being Britney Spears's little sister, getting pregnant at such a young age, like growing up in the spotlight and just having all of that negative energy on you. I understand, like, that's not an easy thing to go through. So I do sympathize with her for that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I do. But like, I feel like she has had a tough life. Like, I don't think her life has been easy at all. Not saying that anything that she's done is right, but like, I do think some of the things that have happened to her, even just her parents, like her dad struggled with alcohol. Her child almost passed away, like in a like ATV accident a few years ago. Just all the stuff about getting pregnant at a young age, working in Nickelodeon. Like, there's been rumors just at how dangerous and like unsafe Nickelodeon
the execs are, everybody.
Where do you think that this came from? Like, was it like her being a trustee and her not supporting Britney in this way? Was it just like to be in the good graces of her parents? Was it to, you know, have money and power? Where do you think this came from?
I do feel like it was about money, about fame, about, you know, her trying to like make a name for herself. I feel like she learned a lot from her parents, who should both be in jail. And she is just like a mini version of Jamie Spears. And she just grew up in this way of seeing how she can manipulate people, how she can use people to get something to her advantage. And this is just like who she's become, which I understand, like, it's not completely fair because of what she went through as a child, but it gets to a point where like you're an adult and you can make decisions and you can see somebody suffering and make a, you know, an intelligent choice. And she just time after time never does make that choice.
Yeah. And I find it so unnerving because I feel like this is, again, taking a page out of Jamie Spears' book. But like, when she is lying about like, I was never involved in the conservatorship, or like, I didn't know much about it when you were named a trustee. And it's like, anything like, I have two sisters, anything that they're involved in that I should be involved in, like, I'm reading, like, if my sisters were ever put into like a legal thing, like, you're reading about it, you're hiring your own lawyers, you're doing the research. Like, it's I just feel like her lying about these instances are like very Jamie Spears.
Yeah, just trying to be like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, poor me. Oh, look at me. I had no idea. And it's just like very exhausting to hear, because it's to the point where we have the paperwork, we have the documents. Why are you even lying? Like, what are you even lying about? And I love the fact that Britney is now allowed to do and say whatever she wants, because she is not holding back on Instagram, on Twitter. I fucking live for her notes app posts. And
Me too.
she's calling Jamie Lynn out. She's telling her, like, you said, like, literally, like, word for word, like, you said this, that's a lie. You said this, that's a lie. Like, oh, you think your life was hard? comparably to Britney, it wasn't.
100%. I think it's interesting also. So she went on GMA, which is like I don't want to say reputable, but like a large scale news outlet. Her next move was to go on Call Her Daddy podcast.
That was so insane.
Do you think it's because no one wanted, like, again, reputable news source didn't want to even touch this type of interview?
Could be.
I think that going on Call Her Daddy was like a way of her getting in with the quote unquote cool kids, because all the people who listen to Call Her Daddy like think they're cool and hip and trendy.
Yeah.
So I think that was her trying to like infiltrate the
like a younger,
the younger, like the cooler kids, because everybody's like free Britney, and she's like trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna go and Call Her Daddy. Everybody's gonna like see a different side of me and like think about this differently. And I don't think that happened.
Yeah, it's a very manipulative tactic.
That's the thing about her. She knows what she's doing. She's like meticulous. I don't think that she tries to come off like this sad victim. And I just don't believe it for a second.
She seems just like her dad, like really calculating in all of her press moves. That's a really good point. Kind of shifting to the Call Her Daddy piece, because obviously we could talk for hours about Jamie Lynn and Britney.
Oh, yeah.
But I think part of it that is so interesting is the Alex Cooper of it all, just because like she had Colton Underwood on her podcast a few weeks ago.
Why? She needs to reevaluate everything.
What is her move right now? Like, she seems to be pivoting from like a sex podcast to like a
controversial pop culture
interview, diving in deep into like these news stories. It just seems like a super weird pivot when she had like the sex podcast game on lock. Like, that was like why she became so successful.
Yeah, I don't know what that move is about. I never really got into Call Her Daddy. I like listened to like maybe 5 minutes of an episode and was like, I cannot handle this energy.
Neither. Oh my God. I feel like I talk about it so much for like having listened to one episode. Like, I think I listened to 2 full episodes. The Holly Madison one, which actually was pretty good, and then the Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner one. They're like 2 Bravo celebrities, and that was really interesting. But yeah, I just find it really fascinating, her pivot into these types of interviews, and then just like the people that she's choosing to have on her podcast. And I think that when she had the falling out with Sophia and then, did her own thing, I think she got a lot of flack. And then she, got the big Spotify deal, kind of, I guess, had to come back. But then I think that, like, honestly, this might be her downfall, which I think is kind of funny. Like, I was like on the Call Her Daddy Reddit, just like seeing what people were saying about the Jamie Lynn interview, because I was not gonna listen to it myself, and her like whole Reddit like turned against her. Like,
whoa,
it's literally talking so much shit about her. So I just find it interesting that she would choose this interview when it's so controversial.
And so many people have Britney's back. So it's like, it's a really crazy move.
Yes.
I also didn't listen to the episode, but there's this guy on YouTube that I watch. I love him so much. His name is Sloan, and he does like a tea YouTube, and he just like covers like pop culture stuff. You should definitely check him out. He's so funny. But he was talking about the Call Her Daddy interview, and he was saying that it didn't seem like Alex was holding Jamie accountable at all. It seems like she was like holding her hand and like babying her like through the interview, when like before the interview, I remember he was like, oh, Alex is really like hard hitting, like she doesn't like hold back. She has a very like, not aggressive, but she has a very like bold personality. So he was saying that like, hopefully it's like, this is like a real interview, and it's people like, trying to get her to take accountability.
Asking the hard question.
And it just seems like some sappy bullshit.
Yeah, it very much seems like that. I just feel like Jamie Lynn also, like, if she just laid low for a while, came out with her book and kind of told the truth about her involvement and kind of shared her side of the story, it just would have been a lot more well received and wouldn't have fallen on like deaf ears, because I feel like no one at this point even wants to hear about it.
Yeah, and also if she just waited, like if she just waited maybe a couple more years, Brittany like just got out of the conservatorship, like give her time to like
heal,
get her life back together, heal. Exactly. Yeah, like I don't care about your story because you're not trustworthy.
Hard to trust her.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you're right, she is just fully capitalizing on the moment, which is the end of the Free Britney movement and the success of the trial. So so much to unpack, and I'm like, it's riveting. Like I'm excited / nervous to see what happens next, and I'm sad for Britney that it's like she had such a win and then this is kind of trailing like her and like plaguing her almost. But
right, like you can't just let her have her moment, her freedom, her celebration of life. You gotta add some salt to the wound,
especially with your sister. Like it's supposed to be the, you know, the person you trust most in life, and it's heartbreaking. Okay, well, we're gonna pivot to This Week in Petty. Okay, Bix, let's start with you.
So this week I went to the dispensary that I go to all the time. Everybody's so nice, so lovely. I always have a great time. And there was, you know, like you get in with COVID and everything, and also just like with dispensaries in general, they only like let in a certain amount of people at a time. So I waited my turn. I finally got in. I'm talking to the woman. We're picking out my stuff, yada, yada, yada. And my boyfriend was in the parking lot and he was waiting for me and he kept calling me. So I took out my phone. The woman was like, oh, you can't use your phone in here. And I was like, oh, okay, let me just step out real quick and send a text message. So she was like, yeah, do your thing. I step out into the waiting room and this fucking guy is sitting in the waiting room with like a freaking trucker hat on, like a loser. And he's like, yeah, finally, we could all get in. Did you take long enough? Did you take long enough? Like literally screaming. And
what?
I mean, if this was in New York, it'd be so different, but it's LA. So everybody was just like ignoring him, looking down at their phones, like pretending not to hear him. And I looked at him, and then the guy behind the like check-in guy, he was like, oh, like, did you like need to like transfer money? Is that why you stepped out? And I was like, no, I just need to like send a text quick, but I'm ready to go back in. And he was like, oh, cool. And he buzzed me in. And the guy was like, oh yeah, you're going to go back in? Yeah, fucking take all day. And I looked at him and I was like, are you fucking crazy? Like, do you have a fucking problem with me?
Shit.
And he looked at me and had nothing to say. And I just kept going off on him. And I was like, oh, because now that I'm talking to you, you're not going to say shit to me. Oh, now you're going to look down. Oh, now you're going to do this.
Holy shit.
I went back in.
God.
I went back in, and the woman inside, she was like, I heard you yelling. Like, is everything okay? What happened?
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, this guy's just crazy and he fucking sucks and is being mad rude for no reason. So she was like, oh, I'm going to talk to HR and like do something about it. And then on my way out, he was sitting there and like was just like this in his phone. And I walked past him and I stood in front of his chair and just stood there and didn't say anything. I was just staring at him in his chair until he looked up at me, and I just said, fucking rude ass. And I walked out.
Yes! Clap. Give it up for Bix.
I was so mad. And then the whole day I was ready to fight. Like any little thing that happened to me, I was like,
yes. Yeah. I'm the same. Like if anything happens, then you're just in the mood, and then something, you like drop something or something, like you stub your toe and you're like, fuck.
Somebody looked at me the wrong way, like in the grocery store, and I was like, what, you want to fight?
Wow, that is wild.
That's so like, people are like you said, like you're crazy.
Yeah, that's insane to act that way in public.
Because you have to wait. And everybody, if you've been to a dispensary ever in your entire life, usually you have to wait, even if it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because like Bix just said, they really only let a small group in at a time.
And it was a Sunday at like 1 p.m. Yeah. Like if you don't want to wait, go at any time.
IDs and they're doing everything. So you're wait. It's like you would be in any.
Everybody knows that though.
Yeah.
I would have been like, sir, is this your first time?
I also couldn't believe that the guy that was at the check-in, I mean, he was very, very sweet, but the fact that he didn't like interject and say anything and be like, oh, like, sir, like calm down or something, like And like, I don't know if it's like a LA thing, but everybody was just like, nope, I'm on my computer. Nope, I'm on my phone. Like, I'm ignoring you. If that was anywhere else, I feel like
someone would have jumped in and been like, calm the fuck down.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes.
Also, like, you like this big ass man yelling at this like petite woman.
I also feel like people don't expect me to be so like,
that's what I mean. I just felt like he could, because I'm sure if this was like 6'4", 250-pound man, he wouldn't be doing that. But because this is 5'2" little woman, because little woman, like little woman, you're gonna go yell at her. Like, exactly. What is wrong with you?
That is what it is.
I hope he's having a horrible day.
Same. Ugh, I hate that so much. I love that you like stood up for yourself, because I feel like I'm like 50-50. I would either say something back or I would just like crumble. Depending on the day. I feel like I'm really 50-50. So it's good that you gave it right back to him.
Gave a taste of his own medicine.
Absolutely.
I'm with that now. Like, I used to be like, I'm gonna be the bigger person, but now I'm over it now. Like, you insult me, I am 100% insulting you back. I don't care how you feel.
As long as I feel like safe enough in like the environment.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But sometimes it just comes out, even if it's an unsafe environment. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get murdered
just now. So angry that you're like, ah.
Yes, that is such a good point.
Because I feel like I used to be like that, where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to take the high road, or I'm going to try to like, teach them a lesson. Now I'm just like, nah, I just feel like giving it back to you.
Yeah, yes.
I'm like,
let's have fun. Let's go.
Yeah, yes. let's do this. Let's do this.
Oh, I should have worn, I have a shirt. And it's just like a little black tank top, and bedazzled. It just says petty in gold. I should have worn that for this episode.
I know that top.
Oh my God. That's iconic. I want one of those.
I saw it at a thrift store, and I left the thrift store and went to work. And the whole time at work, I was talking about it. And my friend was like, you just need to go back and get it.
You have to go
and
back
I went back and I bought it. And now it's my favorite shirt.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. Maybe I'll do some merch that just rips that off.
You should.
Oh my God. Okay, Liv, what is your This Week in Petty?
So I have two stories, but one of them, I don't know. So one of them, it would be a little controversial, I will admit. So, because I did not take the high road, but then what I did was not as, like, it was not nice what was done to me. So I did an equally nasty thing back to that person. So I was like,
love it.
Good, I'm no better, but I don't want to be better. I'm going to come down right where you are. I'm going to go down there.
Eye to eye, bitch.
I'm meeting you there.
It's overrated to like be the bigger person. Like
yeah. So, but I don't know if I should. Maybe we could share that offline, but I'll just say that one is a
little spicy.
I'm not proud of what I did, but I did it.
Okay, I have to hear this now.
No, it's really not that. It's not good. But I will share that. Like a few days ago at work, I was like had an intake meeting with this like new manager, and I thought the meeting went really well. And it was one of those moments where someone acts like everything is okay in the meeting, like they're not upset with you. They're really happy with how everything's going.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Like I was speaking with this new manager, and he was like, yeah, it's been a while since like I've heard from your team, like what happened. I explained what happened. He was like, okay, understand. I apologized. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like this won't happen again. This is how things are going to go moving forward. And I gave him a plan, because we do have a plan. Okay. So he was like, okay, I accept your this and that. Everything was good. Next day, we hop on another phone call and we're having a conversation. Again, everything is going well. And basically he takes whatever the problem was that we resolved, everything was resolved. And he goes to the higher ups, like as high as you can go just to get me like, and try to get me in trouble and try to make me look bad. And he puts like an email of complaints, basically, even though after the meeting, just to give some context, I'm a recruiter. Less than 24 hours after the meeting, I sent candidates over to him. So that's good. So I did my job and I was doing what I told you I was going to do. And I'm following through with my word, but you just decided to kind of go to the higher ups. And luckily one of my really good friends is the manager. So she quickly stepped in my defense to basically tell him to pipe down. And was like, we're doing the best that we can. So you need anyways, that was like, I guess my annoying. For petty, it was him being petty. Yeah.
Yes,
right. So that's the story. It was just this manager having like a power trip and like.
That is the worst feeling ever when you're like, okay, we're on the same page. You were nice to my face.
Yeah.
It was probably stressful for you. So you're like, take a deep breath.
Oh,
like,
you're like relieved it went well.
Relieved.
Yeah.
Everything's good. And then you get the email or the phone call from someone else.
And this was from the other company, by the way. Like, so
No.
This is what I'm saying. Like, we outsource. So we're recruiting companies. So I'm outsourcing. I'm going to not say names, but for this other company, like they're our client.
Yeah.
So the client did that to me and I was just like,
oh, that's such an awful feeling.
Corporate men have like the audacity that I've never seen
to exist.
Like, yeah.
But yeah, honestly,
like, give me a tenth of that and like I'll fucking rule the world, bitch.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so true. Yeah, I hate that. And I just feel like sometimes that happens so often with managers where they're saying one thing to your face that's just like, yeah, great. And then like obliterate you afterwards, which is just the worst feeling in the world.
Right. It was just completely uncalled for. So I was just like, I guess that was my petty. I like Bix's story better. But
well, they were both about two men sucking.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Common theme.
Yes, that is a common theme in this week in Petty, just men being fucking losers. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thanks so much for coming on today's episode.
Of course.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Where can the listeners find you and anything else that you want to plug?
So you can find us on Instagram at ITM with Liv and Bix, and in our link tree, if you just click on that bad boy, it'll take you to all of our social media platforms. Yeah, we come out with an episode once a week, so make sure to check us out. I think that's it. Bix, am I missing anything?
I think that's all. I think that's what we do. We come out with an episode once a week, talk shit about Bachelor, yada yada yada. Follow us on TikTok at Liv and Bix.
Yes.
We do a lot of Bachelor themed TikToks, which are fun.
Yeah.
Just come hang with us.
Get silly with us.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
On.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Thank you so much to Liv and Bix for joining me on today's episode. And thank you so much for listening. The things that I wanted to update you on are Riley and Maurissa did confirm their breakup today. It is January 24th. Happy birthday, Mom. I kind of felt like I was a hostage, like holding up a newspaper for a second there. But anyways, they did confirm their breakup. They didn't really say exactly what happened. They just said that they needed to work on themselves. But I wish those two all the best in their new, single journey. Maybe we'll see them on the Bachelor in Paradise beaches again this summer. The second thing that I wanted to update you on is Raven Gates' baby Gates. Apparently, it's a very Southern thing. So maybe my Southern listeners are, rolling their eyes when we all talked about Raven naming her kid after her maiden name. But apparently, it's a Southern tradition to do that, which I found really interesting. I'm tired, so I don't want to get into what all of this means and just the nature of naming kids and who they're after and stuff like that. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. The other little crossover thing that happened with this episode is Becca Martinez from Ari's season of The Bachelor, who I really enjoy. She's had some blunders, but in general, I do like her takes. She was defending Jamie Lynn Spears a lot on her Instagram stories, and she said she's going to talk about it on her podcast, The Chatty Broad. So I want to listen to that to see if there's a little bit more nuance in her discussion, but her hot takes on her Instagram stories were way off base. And then the final thing that I was just mulling over when I was editing this episode was talking about Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy and just thinking about why she might have pivoted from a strictly sex only podcast to more of an in-depth deep dives with celebrities, usually kind of controversial celebrities. And I was kind of thinking that maybe because she's an actual celebrity now, don't get me wrong, she's still D-list, but she does have famous friends. She moved to LA, she goes out. And I was just thinking maybe she wants to keep more of her personal life private now that she is kind of more of a household name, especially in the podcast world. Maybe she just can't talk about her I was going to say Trice. Is it Trice or Tris? I don't know. Maybe she just can't talk about, hookups anymore because they're with other celebrities. I know she has a boyfriend, but like even prior to that, whereas before it would just be like random New York City, like stock market bros and stuff like that. So I was just thinking maybe she just wants to keep more of her private life private, and that's why she's kind of pivoting to the interview format where she is talking about the person, so she's not talking about herself. Anyways, I want to know what you think about that. That is just one of the theories I thought of afterwards, but I'm super curious to see what other people think about. Just we have reported on this podcast just tons about Alex and her big Spotify deal and her breakup with Sophia, and it's really interesting. And I just really didn't see this pivot coming because she had such a fucking chokehold on like the super raunchy sex podcast industry thing. Like she is really, that's what she's known for. So it's just such a bold move at such a crucial time when she has just like a lot riding on the success of her podcast. Anyways, thanks again for listening. You can follow along with me on socials at RTBP Podcast. You can leave me a review and rating on Apple and Spotify. I appreciate those so much. I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Torry, and I'm ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.